All right. Hello, everyone. Casey Barker here over at Empowering Conversations and New Perspectives. And our podcast episode for today is all about enhancing your relationships through emotional intelligence. Our guest today is Lily Walford, and she has a wonderful accent that's going to entertain you for the entire time. And I can't wait for you to meet her. I'm going to let her introduce herself a little bit and the things that she has coming up that you can follow her with as well. Hello, Miss Lily.
Hello, thank you for having me on today and for the lovely introduction. So I am a international relationship and dating coach, and I specialise in helping people meet the one in 3 months or less. And we use something called behavioural profiling, where we can profile people within 6 minutes or less. Yeah. And also we read body language, so we're able to help people to enter relationships safely and successfully.
Awesome. We have some great topics that we're going to go over today. Ms. Lily and I have already discussed a little bit on all the different things that we both specialize in. And one thing that you'll hear me repeat over and over again is the trauma that a lot of people carry around with them. And those things can really affect our relationships, no matter what they are, but especially our most intimate ones, what we're going to talk about today, and how to really keep that out of something new that could be really great, right? In doing the reading of people is, it's a lot of my clients bring up how rejection is so hurtful. And I try to remind them that the discernment of rejection is a positive and it's powerful, just like you're saying, is when you learn and understand the tools to understand other people and, find those red flags for you. Our red flags that we see in other people are probably not the same as, someone else's dream person. But, time is time, especially when we're dating in an economy like we are dealing with now. It's really important to stay focused and to understand what you bring to the table and what you're looking for that would be compatible with you. So I love all of these things that we're going to talk about. And I also do a lot of body language things. So I want to know what would be the number one thing about a first date or a new relationship that you would want someone to understand.
I think, literally, the best thing that people can understand is what they're actually looking for and who is compatible with them. And before any of my clients go out and date, one thing that we do is we literally go through a compatibility matrix that we've created and researched. Because it's like you were saying, people hate rejection, but rejection is another word for incompatibility. So when we're able to say, okay, who's going to be right for you to be able to have a long-lasting relationship with? And then we go on to okay, how can you go ahead and find them? Now, with compatibility, one of the main things that tends to come up for most people is this incompatibility of goals, but also incompatibility of, emotional intelligence. People feel like they haven't met someone who's self-aware, or they feel like they haven't met someone who fully sees them for who they are. And I think one of the main reasons for this is, number one, there's not many, very highly self-aware people out there. I think the world is getting better, but there's still improvements to be made. But there's the other thing of, people really, really being able to connect authentically. And what I mean by this is most people, when they come onto a dating site or go on they're always presenting their best self. They never go, well, actually, here's my weaknesses, here's my strengths. What do you think?
Yes.
They'll literally portray themselves as the best version of themselves. So it's almost like you have two actors on a date trying to build up an authentic relationship from ingenuine and inauthentic, communication and connection, and it doesn't work. So I think a big part for the work that we do, so we partnered up with someone called Chase Hughes, and we've got $30 million worth of government-backed research that he uses that we've brought into our business. So this is, information that's been used in order to train people, up to like a James Bond, Jason Bourne kind of level is freaking insane. But what it does do, it helps people to truly like connect, and it helps people to be more open and have that authenticity when it comes to dating. So when you can see that in people and you can read people at that level, you've then got that foundation to build from the truth. And the most harmful thing that people tend to go through is betrayal when it comes to relationships, or the fact that their expectations have not been met due to breaking down that trust. So when we can actually say, okay, here's the truth of this person, we can suddenly make an informed decision where we feel safe and secure and happy with what we're actually going ahead with.
Yeah. And that's the thing for a lot of, like, what I help my clients do is, what is it that you really want and need? Like, have you fulfilled those things for yourself? And, that way what you bring to the table and what your compatibility really needs to be to support you, and that what can you support them through, and feeling comfortable with those things. Because like you said, if we don't have the foundation built on the trust and the respect, essentially, for me, that's a really big part of my relationship. Is if I can't respect the other person, then I can't be around them. You know what I mean? Like, oh. So yeah, I mean, healing the past hurt of relationships is the one thing that I help my clients focus on as well. And it's astounding how many times we get to the foundation or the root problem, and it's never from the actual past relationship usually. But one thing we talked about in the past or previously is, the effects of other relationships and narcissistic behaviors, and how to really, pinpoint those things. So what's a situation or something you can help our listeners understand about triggers or a red flag, or
Yeah, okay, so let's kind of dive into narcissist, because this is a term that is thrown around so much within the relationship and dating industry. And the truth is, not many people actually truly understand what a real narcissist is. Now, a true narcissist, when you actually look at a true narcissist, the empathy part of the brain is actually underdeveloped. It's not a person that takes excessive selfies. It's not a person that's consciously self-absorbed.
Right.
It's someone who literally does not have the capability to connect on that emotional level. So what tends to happen is they see people as resources. It's almost like, cool, there's a pen here. How do I use it? I can't connect with it, so how do I use it? And they see people in a very similar way. So what we tend to have with narcissistic relationships is, when you've got a narcissist and an empath together, the empath will try to empathize and feel what that narcissist is going through in order to allow that behavior to either be okay or understood, or to feel like they can actually stay in that relationship. And what I tend to find the most in those kind of relationships is that when an empath leaves that relationship, there's all this blame. All this blame on, how did I stay in this relationship for so long? Why did I go into it? Why did I tolerate all this bad behavior? Well, the truth is, it's not your fault. You showed up as a healthy person that wants to be in a healthy relationship, but that got used. So when we actually have a look at signs of a narcissist, and we'll go through 5 different signs that people can pick out that will really help. Now, the first one, and this is such a great one, this is one of my favorites, is when, we've talked about the empathy piece. So the way that we actually learn empathy as children, as babies, is we'll mimic the facial expressions of our parents. We're sticking tongues out and opening mouths and smiling and all these different things. We will copy that, and that's how we actually generate and learn that empathy as a baby. Okay? So what that means is we carry on that behavior and that behavioral pattern as adults. So if we're telling someone a really sad story, or we're telling something that's so freaking exciting, and we've got that rapport with someone where they're enjoying that excitement with us, guess what? Their facial expressions will change. Their facial expressions will mimic. Now, narcissists will adapt and they will be able to do smiles and things like that. But there's a difference between an authentic facial expression and an inauthentic facial expression. And it's this. Have you ever had that time where you've been at a party or you've been at an event and someone that you really don't like looks over to you and you smile at them, and as soon as they turn their head, it's like, oh, God. That expression drops off the face, right? It literally just drops. And the funny thing is, that's exactly how a narcissist will transition their emotions. It will be, oh, you've had a really bad day. Oh, well, what's for tea? And it will be this cut and dry, bam. You know, it won't be this empathetic thing or being able to, you know, really feel that story with you. It will be mimicked for a while, and the transition will be really, really quick. And I know that this is something that, you know, a lot of people have done. We've all done it at some degree. But with a narcissist, it's consistent. Remember, they can't feel that empathy. A second point is a narcissist can't take the answer no. Okay? They literally, like, if you turn around to a narcissist saying, I can't see you tonight, or no, I don't really want to do that, they will push and push and push, not because it's what they want to do, it's because it's the game of being able to have that control. And that's what they really, really remember. We're saying, how do we use the pen? Well, if the pen's not working, what do? We don't go, oh, never mind, get a new pen. We go, right, okay, let's try and scribble it a bit. Let's try and get, you know, do something to get the pen working. And that's exactly the way that a narcissist will see us. The other thing, so number 3, is that they will not be accountable for anything that goes wrong. So it's like, you've done this, well, you said this. I go, well, the only reason I said that is because you did this. It'll never be, yeah, do you know what? I shouldn't have said that. I'm really sorry. And that kind of leads me on to the 4th point. A narcissist, so coming back to this accountability point, in the worst case scenario, they will apologize sometimes, but if a narcissist's apology is, I'm really sorry for that thing I did, or that thing that made you upset. And it's never specific. You can turn around to them, and I've actually done this, and it's so freaking weird. But you turn around and say, go on, and what thing that made, you know, what was it specifically that made me upset? Well, look, I'm apologizing, aren't I? I'm telling you, I'm sorry that I made you upset. But they don't understand the concept behind what specifically may, you know, cause that upset or that, you know, that turmoil. And again, this comes back down to, how do I get this pen working? Well, it's in a mood with me. If I say sorry, right, that's worked. So hopefully I can get that pen working again. And it's kind of this thing of trying to find the ways to press the buttons to use that person. And then the other one that's so common that I kind of want to go into 2. There's no solid, we'll go into 1. The one of the main ones as well that a narcissist will do in the very beginning is this concept of love bombing. And we've all heard it. I mean, I've recently decoded a message within my group of someone who was like highly either narcissistic or emotionally unavailable. And it's very much this thing of, I love you, or I want to be with you. I can see a future with you. And it's this repetitive I, but it's the way they feel about you versus, I want to get to know you. I want to connect. I'm curious about you. Because that's what a truly healthy person who can really connect would be doing. They want to learn. They want to be curious. There's this connection piece rather than this way of trying to impress and go, again, try and get the pen working. You know, oh, great. You know, you're amazing. You're lovely. You know, I want to date you. Will you go on a date with me now? Because I've said to you that you're absolutely amazing. Right. And our brains released all this, like, you know, oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine. So we feel like absolutely high on that relationship because we've had someone say, oh, we're amazing with this, with that. And this is the way that we get hooked into those type of relationships. So what tends to happen then is we have this boiling frog effect.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. I think that, when we come out of a narcissistic relationship, we look back and go, yeah, how did I stay in that relationship? Because if you were jumping in it at that point, you'd be like, nope, that's it, I'm gone, I'm out. But the love bombing in the beginning of a narcissistic relationship is almost like, oh, here's the bathwater. It's nice and warm. It feels good. And then we can slowly start to amp up all the bad behaviors. And what we tend to find as well with narcissistic relationships is that there's this addiction to them. There's this real addiction to it. And the reason why is because we have the highs and we have the lows. We get all the love bombing, what makes us feel so good, and then bam, there's nothing. It's been withdrawn. And this causes a fractionation within the emotions. Okay, so when we do an emotional fractionation, it makes the feeling of that, that person or that substance or whatever it might be, even more addictive. You think about when you go to the shops, it's like, oh, look at this amazing thing. Oh, it looks, oh, it could be a dress, it could be a top, it could be a handbag. It looks amazing on you. Guess what? There's only a couple left.
Right.
It's like this scarcity thing of trying to get whatever we want from that situation.
Definitely. And that's kind of where I help with my clients too. And I know that's why we're so compatible, is because the scarcity in that mindset is so debilitating until you can get out of it and you have the installed, healing and worth, and what you bring to the table, and these things that you don't need from the outside source, right? So it's like understanding what's inside and that you can provide it for yourself, and the other person should not be there to be using you by any means, or for you to feel like you would be using them. But it's really this partnership of moving forward together. And that emotional intelligence, in my opinion, that's what can keep us, quote, in that honeymoon stage forever. As long as we can learn how to balance it and hold on to it and cherish it, those are the relationships that can last the longest. Would you agree?
I would. I think with relationships, so the research that I've done into healthy relationships come down to 4 things that I found. And I call them my 4 C's. And it's compatibility, which we've kind of mentioned at the beginning. So compatibility, the way I view it is, are we going in the same direction? Are we going towards the same goal, same zip code, or postcode, depending if you're in the US or UK? And are we in the same car, enjoying the similar lifestyle, listening to the same music, which is very much like we follow in the same beliefs, the values, the rules that we play of life, and are we enjoying that together? So that's the way I kind of view compatibility. Then there's communication. Is there enough open communication and honesty within that relationship? And can all those difficult conversations be had? Because how many times have we heard, we've heard friends having problems in relationships to go, well, have you spoken to your partner about it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I couldn't bring that up. Well, that's a huge red flag, because you're missing out on that connection and that ability to be vulnerable and accepted of each other. The next ones with these 4 C's is consideration, because if there's no consideration, you might as well forget it. You're not considerate of each other. And the last one, and this is where most people muck up, and it's collaboration. Now, the reason I say collaboration's got a real deep element to it, because what collaboration has to it is that you have to be a whole person and independent within your own right. So it's like, okay, are you accountable for your emotions, your physical health, your happiness, your finances, all these different things, where you are a whole person on your own that can survive out in the world on your own.
Yeah.
And if you can, great, you're going to be able to build that relationship together. And the reason I say about, being able to be that whole person first is because if you're not 2 whole people, you end up in a parent-child dynamic. Okay, you end up being the partner that has to nag and bring the other one up, all right, or you have to be the emotional support all the time. And it's not that you're not allowed to do that in a relationship.
Right.
There's going to be this toing and throwing, but if it's constant, And this is where we tend to find when people go into the parent-child dynamic, the passion is completely gone from that relationship.
Definitely.
Because that chemistry is gone, and also the respect. So lots of people talk about the masculine and feminine. I don't necessarily, I understand it, but I don't like the fluffiness of it.
Yeah.
The truth is, if you are two equals in a relationship that respect each other, you're going to be able to go further together rather than going, be more feminine, which is basically be more inauthentic. Don't be you. Or be more masculine, whatever it might be. Because you're looking at changing people. And the reason why I feel like this is so important when it comes to this collaboration piece is that if you've got someone who's not accountable for their emotions or accountable for saying things or accountable for their happiness, it brings the other partner down. So, for example, if you say, oh, I got really upset when you said X, Y, Z last night, and they go, well, I didn't say that. You've got no ability to be able to collaborate. And the other perfect bit about collaboration is that it's collaborating together to find the best outcome for the relationship. And this is one of the reasons why I hate the word compromise.
Yeah.
Compromise in a relationship. No, it's collaboration. Because compromise is more like, okay, I want you to compromise on the things that are most important to you. And I want you to sacrifice yourself for the relationship. And I want you to devalue yourself. It's like, well, actually, if you've got a partnership where you can work together and collaborate together for the best outcome, that is healthy. So they're kind of the 4 C's. So compatibility, communication, consideration, and collaboration.
Definitely. So, what would you say? So, from my personal experience, I've been on first dates where the other person will just show up and they just literally start interrogating themselves. And I'm like, I'm here to have fun. I want to get to know you. But at the same time, I can't, like you're saying, I can't read your body language and I can't get to know you and appreciate you for who you are if they show up so nervous and are literally interrogating themselves and telling me like all of their deep, dark secrets and their wants and their needs. So, what would you say would make the best flow of a date or a first meeting to understand if you should go for like further?
Yeah, so if you've got a situation like that, the first thing that I think of is that a person that's completely whole within themselves and capable of regulating their emotions? Have they done the work where you feel like they're an equal to you?
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth is, and I know how bad this sounds, the truth is, if you show up to a relationship, your strengths and your weaknesses will be the strengths and weaknesses of that relationship.
Right.
So if you're financially weak, that's going to be a weakness in the relationship. If you're emotionally weak, that's going to be a weakness again in the relationship. So it's making sure that you are, don't get me wrong, relationship, when you go into the dating world, it can be nerve-wracking. But understanding who you are as a person and accepting yourself. Because if you're going in there like, oh gosh, I need to tell them everything so I can literally repel them away, well, that's a trauma response in itself.
Yes, definitely.
It's like, okay, well, that's showing that you need to do a little bit of work. But if you can actually go into, go on a date, and the other part of the whole thing is let go of the expectations. If when you go on a date, I always turn around to my clients and say, don't go on the date to intending to marry the person and plan out the wedding and how many children you're going to have. Please just go and just connect. Can I actually really relate with this person? Can I really feel like this person understands me and gets me? Do I feel like I can be myself around this person? Because guess what? You kind of need to be able to do that if you want a genuine, healthy, loving relationship. And there's a few things that you can actually play around with to really open someone up in that kind of setting if you feel like they're nervous. So things I'll be looking out for if someone's nervous on a date would be things like shoulder raises, because what we do, we've got main arteries in our neck, we've got main arteries underneath our arms, in our wrists. So what we do is we actually bring all these in to be able to protect those arteries so that we're able to feel safe. So what we can do is we can actually do things where we can meet people where we're at. So this is kind of like a little bit basic in terms of NLP techniques, and it's called mirror matching. You know, it's very basic, yeah. And we can do things where we copy that person's body language. So for example, if they've got their arms crossed, we can cross our arms with them and then start to build up the momentum of that communication. The other thing that I love to be able to play around with as well is that when we are talking, we can actually build someone up in that conversation by literally using our hands, okay? So if we're actually talking, we're talking about something exciting, we usually talk like this. We bring our hands into play, and we can start to open up a conversation just that way as well. Because if we're talking like this, so they're like shoulders, you know, arms down by our sides, we don't feel that connection. We feel that woodeny, that awkwardness, that kind of thing. But as soon as we bring all this kind of in and we're going like, look, you can trust me, you can see my hands, we're all good. And I'm actually creating the energy of that conversation through my hands and building that up.
Definitely. Yes, I mean, that's part of what, even through sales techniques that I talk with my clients with and things like that, is watch their body language. And just like you're saying, you can start by mirroring them, right? And then slowly bring it back down, and, you know, allowing people to not feel intimidated by looking around instead of looking at them, but still making that eye contact. And I feel like body language and those techniques, it's all about the balance, right? So just like you're saying, like being able to show up in understanding that you can be vulnerable and you can have fun. You can ask the questions to understand, and you can just have fun. And that would be, you know, more or less a great date for me, or a great first date, is that way we are connecting and we're allowing things to flow the way that they really should flow. And then if it's flowing naturally like that, then that's what you would want to repeat over and over again, right?
Yeah. So what we tend to find is the best dates or the best relationships, whether it's romantic or family or friends, the best relationships are the ones that actually show true interest in us.
Yeah.
Because that's the main thing. That's what everyone's looking for. They're looking for the need to be understood, approved of, appreciated, connected, you know, feeling like they're a part of the team, all these amazing things. And the only way that we can do that is through being curious about that person, you know, asking them, you know, how are they doing? How's their day been? What do they do? What's the passion that led them to be able to go ahead and do what they're doing today? So you can find the driving force of someone, and also understanding their goals. And it's like when we understand those main areas of someone, you think about it yourself, when someone knows that about you, how good do you feel, especially if they've given you some positive feedback of, wow, that's amazing. How long have you been doing that for? Wow, you must be really dedicated, or you must be really smart, or you must be really caring as a person. We love that. We love that. And they're the things that really help us to open up and to feel comfortable and appreciated and seen.
Definitely. So, connecting on a deeper level, what would you say could be something that, how would you help a client of yours understand when it would be time to leave something? On the, like, once they get into a relationship and they're trying to get to that deeper level, maybe they're hitting blocks from either within themselves, or the other person is just not responding anymore. How would you navigate that with them on either moving forward or ending things?
Super simple. Super simple. Do you remember collaboration?
Yeah.
No collaboration, the relationship is ended.
Yeah. So would you say that there needs to be the opportunity to do that? Like they need to bring up those opportunities to ask for the collaboration, to test that more or less?
Yeah, it's having the ability to have those really difficult conversations in terms of, do we actually want this to work? How could we make this better? Because the truth is, a healthy relationship is not about, you know, how, you know, compatible you are or how happy you are or anything like that. It's actually the ability of that relationship to overcome, you know, difficult circumstances, difficult situations. I don't know one healthy relationship that hasn't gone through some turmoil, even as a to the point where they thought, oh gosh, I'm going to end, we're going to end this relationship several times or whatever it might be. And they've overcome that together. And what that does is it builds up that level of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that level of trust, not just within themselves, but within that relationship too. So when we actually get to the point where it's like, oh, do you know what? We're going to go ahead and improve our relationship by having more couple time. And both agree to it. Great. Are they actually following up and doing that? So that's the other thing. Collaboration is not just about saying things, but it's doing it. It's the intention.
Yeah.
And what we're actually looking for and underlying on that intention is, do we have each other's best interests at heart? Because if that's not there, that is literally one of the core elements of a healthy, loving relationship. Because you need that for trust.
Definitely. So tell us a little bit about what you have coming up that we can help promote for you.
Yeah, so, we've actually got a free training on how to go ahead and meet the one.
Okay.
So if you are single and you've really, really struggled, we actually go through our step-by-step process that's helped people meet the one. I think my most successful client met the one within 3 weeks of working together.
Wow.
So sharing this, they've just literally gone on a holiday to Croatia together. It's so cute. This webinar literally goes through the step-by-step process from knowing who's compatible. I actually share the compatibility matrix on there.
Okay.
I share on how you can build that healthy relationship, how you can go from dating someone to a committed relationship, and how to build that healthy relationship together as well. So all the fundamental bits and pieces that you need in order to go ahead and meet the one.
Would you say, closing thoughts wise for me at least, would you say there's a timeline to follow in a relationship for comfort? Like, what's too fast?
Oh gosh, it's really simple, really, really simple. And because we can overcomplicate things.
Mm-hmm.
Just asking yourself the question, does it work for you?
Yeah.
And if it's yes, brilliant. If it's no, well, that's okay too. You know what to do with it. I mean, we can turn around and say, oh yes, you shouldn't, rush in, or you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Truth is, everyone's different, and we try to follow the same path, and that never works out for anyone. One size fits all fits nobody well.
Definitely. I totally agree with that too. Awesome. Do you have any other closing thoughts?
I think one of the most important things for people is to be true and honest with themselves. Because I think there's often this desire to please and have approval and to be, desired and all these different things. And it can pull you away from actually showing up as you and showing up and also allowing yourself to really build up who you are as a person in terms of going ahead and doing your interests or living the life that you want to go ahead and live. So the more close that you can actually, the more that you're able to become who you are, the easier it is to enjoy life and to also enjoy a healthy, loving relationship.
Definitely.
Mm.
So one thing that comes to mind for me, especially when you say that, is more or less start attracting than chasing. So would you agree with that? Or, what do you encourage your clients to do?
Yeah, so I think it's deeper, because I used to feel like, okay, there needs to be this strategic thing of, okay, step back, do this, do that. It's really, really simple, really, really simple. And it comes back to our identity. So we create our identity as a young child, okay? And what our identity does, it goes, well, this is the way you love. This is the way that you receive love. This is the role that you play. And this is the way that you interact with the world. And this is how the world sees you. And we interact with that. So, for example, if we were the child that was the people pleaser, for example, so it's like, oh yeah, I did the dishes, I did this, I did that, tell me how great I am. Or if you have the highly independent child that was praised for being highly independent, or the child that was praised for being smart and getting good grades, or the child that was only got attention when they fell over and hurt their knee. And what this does is it literally builds up this conditioning of who you show up as, not just in relationships. Because if you think about the people pleaser, for example, will show up and try and do all the extra work and make the cups of teas for people and stuff like that within their career. In relationships, they will give so much. And if it's the wrong person, they end up feeling resentful because it's not appreciated or anything like that. And in friendships, they feel like they can never say no. And it's all from this identity piece. So when we have a look at, what are you attracting in? Well, it's almost like, well, how are you interacting with the world? Are you feeling like you need to do this in order to get love? Or is being you enough? And that kind of goes into like this conditional and unconditional love, which I freaking love as well. Because, for me, relationships, you are loved for, your personality, who you are, not what you wear, what you look like, what you do, or what you say, or anything like that. It's who you are as a person.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, so everyone can find me on our website. We've got loads of different resources and things like that on there. So our website is lovewithintelligence.com. So we've got all our trainings. We've even got a downloadable guide on how to meet the one and also how to heal from narcissistic relationships too. Awesome.
Anything else?
I think that's everything.
I know. Thank you so much for all of the wonderful information. I'm sure it's going to help so many people. And I look forward to following you myself because I am in that dating world and can really align with all of what you're saying. I've already, taken in so much of it, and it's really helped me understand myself and understand the relationships and moving forward. So I know it's very beneficial work.
Thank you. I know I have brilliant questions, and thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you soon.
Awesome, will do. Take care. Bye.